they now await the addition of 3 for a 2-day ride to their new home in space. That next crew to launch the space station includes cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin, NASA astronaut Kate Rubins, and Japanese astronaut Takuya Onishi. They will join the Expedition 48 when their Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft docks to the Rossby module. Again, that is on July 8th. Meanwhile, this morning, Commander Williams spent some time working in the Japanese experiment module, depressurizing and venting the Kibo airlock to swap out experiment samples onto the experiment platform. Williams is collecting biological samples as part of the multi-omics study that is, like several human body research aboard the ISS, looking at the impacts of the microgravity environment on the human body. In this particular study, scientists are studying the effects of microgravity on the immune function. Also earlier this morning, Williams performed maintenance work to the fluid integrated racks. That is part of the combustion and fluid integrated experiment rack. The fluid integrated racks, or FIR, is designed to host investigations in areas such as colloids, gels, bubbles, wetting and capillary action, and phase changes, including boiling and cooling. And today, Williams is also participating in the habitability study that observes the relationship between crew members and their environment on the International Space Station. Observing crew members aboard the space station can help spacecraft designers understand how much habitable volume is required and whether emissions duration impacts how much space crew members need. And also today, Williams will be taking some time to talk with Motherboard and the CBS radio network about life, work, and his mission objectives there aboard the International Space Station. We'll have that live for you here on NASA television at 11:55 a.m. Central Time. Meanwhile, on the Russian side of the house, flight engineers Ovchinin and Skripochka tend to scientific research that involve observations of the Earth and perform maintenance work to various station systems, including a coolant refill for the internal cooling loops of the Zvezda service module thermal control system, and also daily maintenance to the SOJ, that is the Russian life support system. And each of the crew members will then perform his daily prescribed cardio and strength training exercise in toggled intervals throughout the day using the onboard gym equipment that includes a stationary bicycle, a treadmill, and also an advanced resistant exercise device that uses air cylinders to simulate weightlifting here on Earth. Exercise is imperative for those living in space to help mitigate the negative effects of microgravity on their bodies, such as bone loss and muscle atrophy. In addition to the regular scheduled exercise, Commander Williams will perform an hour of prescribed exercise as part of the SPRINT study. SPRINT looks at low-frequency, high-impact exercise as a way to combat the negative effects of microgravity on the human body. Again, that is resulting in loss of bone and muscle. The crew will also have some time to stow away equipment from today's activities and wind down their workdays following a final daily planning conference that allows the crew to discuss the day's completed task and look ahead at tomorrow's planned work. Crew members will then enjoy their evening meal and a couple hours of personal time before entering its sleep period. Today, the crew is scheduled to go to bed at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 3 new crew members are preparing for their launch to the ISS next month. Rubins, Onishi, and Ivanishin and their backups will be flying from their training base at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, Russia tomorrow to their launch site at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to complete preparations for their launch on July 7th Baikonur time, July 8th Houston time, for a planned 4-month mission aboard the International Space Station. The crew will then don their so-called launch and entry suits on Saturday at the Cosmodrome's integration facility before climbing aboard their Soyuz craft for an initial fit check dress rehearsal to familiarize themselves with their spacecraft's layout. All three crew members are currently working throughout the middle of their workdays there aboard the space station. Station having now crossed over an orbital sunrise, now on a northeast track, coming across the South Pacific Ocean, flying now at an altitude of about 250 statute miles. In just a couple of hours, commander of the complex, Jeff Williams, who is on his fourth flight aboard the space station, a space veteran who will break a record, a new space record in cumulative time there aboard the space, will be speaking with Motherboard and the CBS radio network this morning at 11:55 a.m. Central Time. That'll air live here on NASA television. Meanwhile, the Expedition 48 crew is connecting with people here on Earth via social media. Space station crew members often are documenting their spaceflight experience aboard the orbiting complex with photos of their activities on station and of Earth below on Twitter. Commander Jeff Williams and former station crewmates Tim Cooper and Tim Peake, who have since returned to Earth as of this past Saturday, have recently posted these images. There's a farewell from Tim Peake. And here a photo of him following his return to Earth. Again, that was on Saturday. And also Tim Cooper, who is now back in Houston, him arriving at Ellington Field, adjacent to the Johnson Space Center. And here a photo of from Jeff Williams, who is currently still serving aboard the International Space Station. Again, he is the commander of the space station. And a couple more photos here of Australia. Be sure to continue to follow these guys on Twitter. Williams continues to post these photos of Earth from his perch about 250 miles aboard the International Space Station. As mentioned, the crew aboard the International Space Station is now a 3-person crew as they await their next 3 crew members to launch to the International Space Station. That next crew to launch to the space station includes NASA astronaut Kate Rubins, cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin, and Japanese astronaut Takuya Onishi. They will join the Expedition 48 when their Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft docks to the Rossby module that is set to arrive on July 8th. Commander Williams will welcome all 3 aboard the International Space Station, where they will begin their 4-month stay. Currently, Rubins, Onishi, and Ivanishin and their backups will be flying from their training base at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, Russia. That is set for tomorrow. This is in advance of their launch. From the launch site at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to complete preparations for that launch. Again, it will be July 7th Baikonur time, July 8th Houston time, for a planned 4-month mission aboard the International Space Station. The crew will don their so-called launch and entry suits on Saturday at the Cosmodrome's integration facility before climbing aboard the Soyuz craft for an initial fit check dress rehearsal to familiarize themselves. With now only 3 crew members aboard the International Space Station, the crew remains a busy hub of activity today with some maintenance system maintenance, as well as scientific research. This morning, Commander Williams spent some time working in the Japanese experiment module, working to swap out experiment samples onto the experiment platform in the Kibo airlock. Williams also is collecting biological samples as part of the multi-omics study that is, like several human body research aboard the ISS, looking at the impacts of the microgravity environment on the human body. In this study, scientists are studying the effects of microgravity, specifically on the immune function. And then also Williams performed maintenance work to the fluid integrated rack that is part of the combustion and fluid integrated experiment rack. The FIR is designed to host investigations in areas such as colloids, gels, bubbles, wetting and capillary action, and phase changes, including boiling and cooling. And Williams is also participating in the habitability study that observes the relationship between crew members and the environment on the International Space Station. Observing crew members aboard the space station can help spacecraft designers understand how much habitable volume is required and whether a mission's duration impacts how much space crew members need. This will be useful information for future space missions.
She couldn't connect to the upload URL. If it pops up with the URL settings, server URL settings, I added my user and password, but there's still no join.
Pluto's thinking about that, Jeff. Stand by. And Jeff, check world map. It should be working right now. You should. So, stand by on that there. They're just loading up the state vector.
Okay.
As mentioned, all three crew members are working throughout the middle of their workday. Meanwhile, the Orbit 2 team here in the mission control room are monitoring the systems and the crew's activities aboard the space station. We just overheard an exchange between Commander of the Space Station Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Don Pettit. Pettit is serving as Capcom, relaying all ground messages from here in mission control up to the crew. Pettit, an experienced space station flyer. Pettit has flown and lived aboard the International Space Station 3 times. His first flight was during Expedition 6 back in 2002. He then returned to the space station and aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour on an assembly mission to expand the orbiting complex during STS-126, and again for a second long-duration stay during Expeditions 30 and 31 in December of 2011. Pettit has spent a total of 370 days in space on his 3 space flights, and today he is again serving as Capcom here in Mission Control, relaying ground messages up to the crew, that crew being NASA astronaut Jeff Williams, also a veteran of space, in-flight engineers Russians cosmonauts Alexei Ovchunin and Oleg Skripochka. Williams, who is serving as commander of Expedition 48, is, as mentioned, currently working aboard the International Space Station. Having arrived back on March 18th, now approaching his 100th day on this flight. This is his 4th flight. He has been documenting his experience, his spaceflight experience, leading up to his launch and now aboard the International Space Station. For those of you who want to follow him on social media, you can follow him on Twitter. His handle is @astro_Jeff. Also, be sure to follow @NASA and @ISS_research for more information about the scientific experiments that are taking place aboard the International Space Station. Again, that is @ISS_research. Station Commander Jeff Williams, again, is a veteran of 3 space flights, having spent more than 362 days on his previous space flights, including more than 19 hours in 3 spacewalks. He is now on his 4th space flight, a long-duration space flight. Williams is set to break a new record for cumulative time in space, crossing the threshold of more than 520 days, previously set by former astronaut Scott Kelly. He will break that record in September. And later today we will hear from him when he is able to take some time to talk with Motherboard and the CBS radio network. They will be asking him questions about life and work and also his mission objectives there aboard the International Space Station. We will air that downlink here on NASA television beginning at 11:55 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to tune in for that.
Station Houston on 2 for Jeff.
Hey, Doc.
Jeff, Pluto says that world map should be synced up now. If not, you can close and restart it, and that should do it.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that help.
And what they had was they just had updated world map, so it was giving you tomorrow's location. So it was just a preview of what you're going to be able to do tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Now I got a plan.
And that again was an exchange between Station Commander Jeff Williams and also NASA astronaut Don Pettit, who is here inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at in Mission Control at the NASA Johnson Space Center. He's been relaying all ground messages up to the crew. They were discussing the world map that is on a system aboard the space station that allows the crew to help pinpoint observation points when they are looking and observing the Earth below from the approach of 250 miles. The space station is now flying at an altitude of 252 statute miles. It's on a northeast track on a daytime path now coming across several states of the United States. Currently having just passed over New York and coming across Massachusetts and parts of New Hampshire before it eventually comes across the North Atlantic Ocean. Again, all three crew members remain busy aboard the space station working throughout the middle of their workday. Their crew sleep is scheduled to begin at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Up next here on NASA television at 11:55 a.m. Central Time, Space Station Commander Jeff Williams will be speaking with Motherboard and the CBS radio network. That will be aired live here on NASA television. Be sure to join us for that. For continuous updates about the space station and the Expedition 48 crew, visit www.nasa.gov/station. Also connect to the Expedition 48 mission on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ISS. Send us your questions on Twitter using the hashtag AskStation. Be sure to follow Jeff Williams on Twitter at @astro_Jeff. And tune in at 11:55 a.m. again Central Time for Jeff Williams' downlink with Motherboard and CBS Radio Network. Again, that'll be here on NASA television. Until tomorrow, this is Mission Control, Houston.